Yo, what is good with y'all YouTube? In this tutorial, I'll be giving you guys a few effect ideas for your next music video or just VFX edit in general. These are all trending effects. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna go. I have 5 planned, but if they take too long, then I'll just cut it down to 3 and make a part 2. You can see all the effects on the screen right now, and we won't be using any paid plugins in this tutorial. But without any further ado, let's hop right into the tutorial. So I'm on After Effects and I got this Solfego music video right here. Let's start off by creating an adjustment layer, Ctrl-Alt-Y, or right click, go to new and create a new adjustment layer right here. The first effect we're gonna add on to this adjustment layer is a warp effect, and let's mess with the warp style and set it to fisheye, and then we can turn down the bend to -100, at least at the start. So let's keyframe it. Then we can go back like 1 second and let's turn it down to 0. Next, I'll go for a minimax effect and I'll set the direction to horizontal. You can go for vertical if you want to, it's depending on what you prefer, but I'll stick to the horizontal look, and we can turn up the radius to 100 as I've already done. And let's keyframe the radius, and at 1 second I'll turn it down to 0. Next, we'll go for a wave warp, and we'll set the wave type to smooth noise, and let's turn up the wave height to 140, and for the width we can just mess with it, something like 50 is good. Since I went for a horizontal look on the minimax, I'll do the same for the direction here, so I'll set it to 0. Now we get this horizontal look. If you want for vertical on the minimax, then of course you want to set it to 90 here so you can keep the vertical look. And for the next effect, let's go for a turbulent displace. I'll set the amount to 150. And we'll drag down the size to like 43. And I forgot to say, but let's keyframe the wave height at the wave warp, and we can also keyframe the size and the amount on the turbulent displays. And at 1 second, I'll turn up the size to 150 on the turbulent displays, but the amount will go down to 0. And the wave warp will also go down to 0 at the height. For right now, it's not looking too good, and that's mainly because we haven't messed with the graph editor yet, but we'll be doing a lot of work with this. Next, let's go for a Gaussian blur. I'll set the blurriness to 15 because we'll be recreating that distort chroma look from Sapphire. So let's keyframe it from 15 down to 0 after 1 second. And the next effect will be a CC vector blur. And we're already starting to get towards the end, but let's set the amount to -350. And it's looking horrible right now, so let's tweak the map softness. We can drag it up to around 200, should be good. And then finally a VR to once again recreate that Sapphire distort chroma look. We'll keyframe the aberration red and aberration blue, as well as the amount for the CC vector blur. And we'll turn all of those down to 0 next, right here. And then the final effect that we'll add on is an exposure effect, just to have a flash here at the start, just to kind of spice it up. I'll set it to 3 at the start, and then I'll go in 3 frames, turn it down to 0, and go in 2 frames, turn it up to like 1.8, and then go back 2 frames, and it will go back down to 0 right here. So now, before tweaking the graph editor, I'll play it through and we'll look at what we got. So now it looks like this. It's not horrible, but it's definitely not what we want. So we need to select all of the effects. If you can't see your keyframes, just click U on your keyboard. And after selecting all of the keyframes, let's click F9 to ease them. And let's open up the first graph. And I'm in the value graph, so you just need to click down here and select the value graph, because we'll be working with that one since it's a lot smoother than the speed graph. And I'll create something like this for basically all of the effects, where we want it to go pretty fast at the start and then slow down just to get a smooth look. And we'll do the same for all of the effects. This one right here goes from a positive number down to a 0. So we'll drag the top one down and then the bottom one in, so it can go fast in the beginning and then slow down. Let's just do this for all of the effects. Top one down, next one in, fast at the start, slow down towards the end. You should have gotten it by now, so I don't need to explain it anymore. But if you do have the Flow plugin, I recommend that you use it, just so you don't have to recreate the same graph for all of the effects. In here, we can just create the graph once, fast at the start, and then slow down, just as you can see right here, and then apply to all of the keyframes. So after doing that, after doing all of that, this is what we got. It's a great looking effect, high energy, and just looks good overall. Now, one thing that we could fix is this right here. You can see that black part. That's not something you want to have in your effect. And to cover that, let's add on a motion tile if you do have the same issue. And then set the output width to 300, check mirror edges, and then let's move this motion tile on top of the turbulent displays. I placed it on top of the Minimax and it's gone now, as you can see. Make sure you have motion blur selected as well, but that's about it. Let's hop right into the next one. Before we jump into the second effect, I just want to mention real quick that all of these effects are from my VFX kit plugin, which looks like this. It's a game changer for music video editors. It has 7 different tabs with rotor effects, shakes, transitions, grunge, hits, speed ramps, and CRT. In total, over 150 effects. And if you're a fan of these effects, you're going to love this plugin. You just simply pick a tab, and in here we have live previews of every single effect, so you don't have to go through a preset pack, apply an effect, wait for it to render, and then look if you like it, and then if you don't like it, you have to delete it and repeat the process. In here, everything works smoothly. You just find one of the effects that you like and simply apply it with one click. Let's play it through and see what it looks like. Just like that. Quick and easy. But when the new update drops, the price is going up, so I recommend that you go and grab it now if you're planning to get it, or just at least check it out for yourself. I'll leave a link to the description with a discount code, but let's hop right into the video. So I've got 2 new clips right here, as you can see. The next effect will be a little bit different, but it can be used in a lot of different ways. Let's create an adjustment layer. You should probably know how to create it by now. And let's start off with a warp effect again, but we'll be doing it a little bit different this time. Let's set the warp style to fisheye. And we can start off at 0, keyframe the bend, and then go in about 1 second to half a second, somewhere around that, and set it to -100. Now you want to go like somewhere around half a second or 1 second into your clip. Here might be good, and then set it to 0. And this is what we got now, but that's not what we want. So what I'll do next is go in like 3 or 4 frames. Here it says 80, so I'll change it to +80 instead. Then I'll go in 4 more frames again, change it to -60 instead of 60, and 4 more frames. Here it says 40, I'll change it to +40, and then for the next one here, it says 20, I'll change it to -20. And this will give us that kind of bouncy look. As you can see, it looks good, but let's easy ease those keyframes. And for the first graph, that's the only one we'll tweak. We'll do something like this, where it goes slow in the start. The effect won't be visible until like right up here. That's when it goes fast, and we'll basically do so. This is what we got now. It looks good. And next we can add on a Gaussian blur, and we'll go to the peak of the transition, and I'll set it to 20 right here, and keyframe the blurriness. At the end, I'll turn it down to 0, and at the start, we'll keep it at 0 as well. Next, let's go for a VR chromatic aberration, and this one is the built-in one in After Effects, so you don't need any paid plugins to apply this one. And I keyframe the aberration red and the aberration blue at the peak of the transition, and then here at the start, we'll turn it down to 0, both of those values, and at the end, we'll also turn down both of those values to 0. Next, let's go for an optics compensation, and at the peak, I'll turn up the field of view to 140, and make sure to keyframe the reverse lens distortion as well, so it looks like this. Check the reverse lens distortion, and then keyframe the field of view at the peak, and then at the start, 0, and at the end, of course, you know what to do, drag it down to 0. And I forgot to mention that we should also turn up the fall off distance for the VR chromatic aberration to like 80. And next, let's add on a transform to get a smooth zoom in during this transition. So here at the start, I'll keyframe the scale at 100. At the peak, I'll keyframe it all the way up to 180, and then maybe 165 instead. And then at the end, I'll reset it to 100. And next, let's go for a Minimax. I think I'll go for the horizontal one again this time. I'm a huge fan of the horizontal Minimax. I'll keep the radius at 140, and at the peak, keyframe it. And at start, let's turn it down to 0, and at the end, 0 as well. So this is what we got so far. The Minimax basically covers the full effect, so we'll need to tweak that in a second. But we got a few different effects to add on now. Next one is a radial blur, but we'll go for the zoom type. So change the type to zoom, and at the peak, I'll turn it up. Let's do 30 here at the peak, and I'll be keyframing the amount. Once again, you already know what to do. Turn it down to 0 at the start, 0 at the end, and then we're done. Or actually, that was a lie. We're not done, because the final effect we're gonna need is an exposure effect. I'll keep it pretty high. So at the peak here, I'll keep the exposure at 5. Maybe 4.5 instead, and keyframe that exposure. Then we'll go back 3 frames, turn down to 0. I'll go back 2 frames, turn it up to like 1.2, and then 2 frames once again, turn down to 0. And then here, after the peak, I'll go in 3 frames and turn down to 0, and we'll just leave it as it is. Now let's easy ease all of these keyframes. The graph that we'll do for these is going to look something like this, where we drag the top one down, bottom one in, pretty similar to what we did last time, but maybe not as heavy. So let's calm it down, make it look a little bit smoother, something like this. And now we can tweak this. And then for the other one here, we'll do the same, where we drag the top one down. This one, we can keep it as it is, maybe drag it in just a little bit. And we'll do the same thing for all of these effects. So go ahead, do it for every single keyframe. I don't think I got to go through all of them. You should probably understand what it's going to look like. We'll just drag this one down and this one down as well. So I just tweaked all of the keyframes, and this is what we got now. As you can see, it's a pretty smooth transition or impact hit. But the only thing that we could kind of change is that the zoom is a little bit too subtle for my liking. I'll make it a little bit more drastic, and maybe the same with the optics compensation. It's moving a bit too slow, so I'll drag it down like this, and then you'll see like quick impact before the peak. But that's about it for this transition. It's a pretty cool one. You can use it in a lot of different ways. Feel free to tweak it to your liking. Let's mix it with a bunch of different effects, but let's hop right into the third one. I have the final clip that I'll be using right here, and we'll be creating this kind of crazy grunge effect. We can start off by adding on a noise, and this noise effect will set the amount to 25. Looks a little bit too much right now, but it's going to look a lot better in a second. Next, let's go for a mosaic effect to get this blocky look. And I'll turn up the horizontal box to 250, and the same with the vertical. Now it's not too visible right now. If you want to, you can turn it down a little bit more to make it more visible. But you'll see in a second why I made it pretty subtle. Next, let's go for the main effect in here, which is the threshold effect. And let's turn down the threshold level just till we are happy with it. Something like 95 fits for my clip. It's going to be different for everyone's clips. So this fits for mine, so I'm going to keep it as it is. And as you can see now with the mosaic underneath, we're getting that kind of blocky look, and it looks great in my opinion. The next effect I'm going to use is a noise effect once again, but this time we can keep it at 20. And with this noise effect, we get a little bit of grain in here in the blacks as well on top of the threshold. Next, let's go for a loomer key. And instead of having it at key out darker, let's change the key type to key out brighter. And I'll keep the threshold pretty high. Let's go for 251. This will do. And next, let's go for the NTSC effect. This is a plugin, but it's a completely free one. I'll leave a link to the description. If I do forget to link it, just leave a comment and I'll link it as quickly as possible. Or you can just search up NTSC plugin. It's completely free. So as you can see, it's a lot of different settings. It's a lot of things to change. But let's start by jumping down to the composite pre-emphasis and change it to 2. I'll go through everything step by step. I know it's a little bit overwhelming if you're opening this plugin for the first time. And for the composite noise, let's change the intensity to 100. And I'll turn up the frequency to 1. And the detail, we can keep it at 1. Doesn't really matter. And for the snow, let's turn it up to 2. Next, let's scroll down to the head switching, and we can keep it enabled. And the next thing we'll change is the tracking noise, and we'll turn up the height to 120. Now you can see we're getting this kind of VHS tape down here. You can tweak it as much as you want, but 120 is max, so you want to keep it lower, then go ahead and do that. Next, for the snow intensity, I'll turn it up to 0.6. So now you can see it's a lot more visible here. And then for the chroma noise, let's turn it up to 90. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Let's go for 85. Next, for the ringing frequency, I'll turn it up to 85 as well. And then we'll go down to the luma noise, and I'll turn up the luma noise to 70. And I'm pretty happy with that when it comes to the NTSC effect. You can mess with the sharpen as well. That's a pretty cool one. I'll keep it as it is. The next effect I'll add on is a wave warp on top of this, and I'll change the wave type to smooth noise. The wave height will keep as it is, and the direction we can also keep it as it is. And the final effect we'll use is an unsharp mask, just to lower the quality a bit, and we'll change the radius to 4, and we'll bump up the amount to 75. So this is what it looks like. It's a crazy effect. I'm a huge fan of this one. And if you want to spice it up even more, then you can change the quality to half or even third, and you will get a much crazier look. I'll change my resolution to third and play it through. And as you can see, it looks a lot more. It actually looks like it was basically shot on VHS with a kind of grunge effect underneath. And if you want to export this effect in low quality, then just go to composition add to render queue. Make sure that you've set your work area, which is these blue bars here. And by clicking B or N on your keyboard, and you can move it. And then here in render queue, we'll go to the best settings and change it to a resolution, half, third, or quarter. I'll go for third and then just click render. I'll actually just save it as effects, low qual, and then click render. But that's it for this tutorial. I'll save the other effects I had in mind, and make sure to leave a comment if you want a part 2. And like I mentioned earlier, all of these effects are in the VFX kit update. So if you're a video editor looking to 5x your workflow or just create some sick effects, make sure to check the first link in the description. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.